Hey folks, it's Matt Leger here. I want to bring you something a little different today. So just to clarify the title in case anybody feels like I lured them into some video, AI is actually helping you to lose the weight, but really the mechanism by which it does that is by empowering you to do the work and making it very clear. So that's what we're doing here. That's the idea is I wanted to know, does burning calories like across the board in whatever way you do it, let's say walking, right, which is something that I strongly believe in because I've been able to lose significant weight by simply getting in more steps every day. And I wanted to know, does it matter as far as calorie burn when we're walking and in what state? In other words, in a fasted state where you haven't eaten yet, or in a state where you've eaten some food or you're full? Does that actually matter? Does it matter what time of the day that you walk? Does it have any effect or impact on your metabolism, the thermogenesis, all of those things? So the short answer is that no, it doesn't really matter all that much. It does to a certain degree, which we'll touch on here real quick. Just get in your steps. For me, my target was 10,000 steps a day. That includes, as you see here on the right, the table that Claude, my lovely AI assistant, has come up with. It's all laid out beautifully, exactly the way I wanted it. You'll see that simply targeting 10,000 steps every day, which includes baseline activity throughout the day, just puttering around the house. This also includes 8 2 to 3 minute breaks that I want to take away from the computer every day, which will not, it's not necessarily about burning extra calories, it's just allowing me to get in another 2,000 steps and just move the body. We know now that being sedentary and sitting at the desk all day long, sitting down especially, not as bad if you're standing up. Just stepping away once an hour for only 2 or 3 minutes, that will accumulate 2,000 extra steps. It'll burn 100 calories. But again, it's not really about the calorie burn. It's just getting you moving, get the blood circulating. Yoga balls are another thing. If you really feel like you need to sit, at least sit on a yoga ball so that it's like dynamic posture. You're constantly moving around. You're not just sitting there hunched over in your chair all day long. That's the idea here. Claude was able to break it down for me in a way that I understand it now. It's crystal clear. So I wanted to share that with you in case there's any revelations here for you or any insights that might help with your own journey back to health. So here's basically the idea. It's a weekly training split which involves 60 minutes of fasted walking first thing in the morning. As soon as I get up, go to the bathroom, take care of my things, and then I'm right on the treadmill. I grab my water, start chucking back the water and walking. Claude helped me to understand what really motivates me to get me on the treadmill is being able to multitask. I'm all about multitasking because our time is so limited and our energy levels and the demand of the day to day these days is just insane. If I can check my emails, if I can listen to an audiobook or a podcast, if I can chat with a friend. I've been doing vibe coding while I'm walking on the treadmill. How awesome is that? You can develop a website or an app as you're doing exercise. Like, this is genuine multitasking. This is not the myth of multitasking, like when we're at work and we're bouncing from one thing to the other. You're really only doing one thing. But in this case, you're actually doing multiple things. It's great. You're getting exercise in, you're on your phone chatting with friends, or whatever you're doing. You're really making the most of your time. By just getting my 10,000 steps in every day or 4 or 5 times a week, I've been able to lose almost 20 pounds in just under 3 months. And that's just from walking. Now, mind you, I also have a fairly sporadic activity lifestyle where I spend long periods of time at the computer, and I have to make up for that by walking on the treadmill and doing weights and just trying to be active on the other end of that. So a lot to factor in there, but it is possible. Wednesday and Saturday we will walk as normal, but not Sunday. Sunday, full rest, active recovery for Wednesday and Saturday. That's perfect. That has added another almost 1,000 calories burned by just adding those two. You see how tweaking things, pulling things out, bringing things in is going to change all the numbers. That's one really good use case for using AI for things like fitness, for weight management, for nutrition, for your workout routine, for figuring out what works for you. I started off this conversation, folks, by talking to AI about What's the most efficient way to do things? And inevitably, as often happens, the answer was what works for you. When I explained my situation and losing 20 pounds from just walking over the last few months, it was like, there you go. That's what works for you. What may work for someone else or what you might read in a book or see on a video may not necessarily be what you need. You need something that works for when you're down here. You can't use a strategy for someone who's been doing this for a year or two or 10 years. It has to be something that'll work for you. And no one else can really tell you what that is. You have to figure it out for yourself. A lot of it is trial and error. So natural only, active minutes, 0. That gives us something to aim for. That's really what we should be aiming for on Sundays. So there you go. There's my fitness routine. There's nothing super complicated. Right now I'm nursing some injuries, a shoulder impingement and a bit of a tennis elbow. So I'm trying to go easy. I'm on a deload week right now, so I'm going very easy. But if I felt good, if I felt strong, if I felt like, oh, my upper body's recovered on Wednesday, I would just do a third upper body workout. So I would have upper body on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. My lower body workouts, I would only do 2 of those a week, and those would be Tuesday and Thursday. So it really depends. You can switch things around. Nothing's set in stone here. Adapt as you go. You have to be able to adapt. That's one of the ways I've been able to heal my body, is by listening to what it's trying to tell me. If I'm getting inflammation, if I'm getting pain, maybe that's the sign I need to say, whoa, slow it down. Or maybe try something else for now, for a week or 2, or for a whole mesocycle. Do another arrangement of exercises and see if that works better. Try focusing less on reps and weight and more on your technique. All kinds of things you can do. So in terms of the walking, break this down a little bit. It's nice to see it in the table. I'm a visual person. I like numbers, so it's nice to be able to visualize it like this. So the treadmill is not incline. This is just to show you how easy it is. If you don't have a treadmill, no problem. Go for a walk. Go up and down your stairs. Walk around the house. There's all kinds of things we can do. You want to buy a treadmill? They have them on Amazon now for $200. You can get one of those walking treadmills. You slip right into your desk or put it in front of your TV. Very easy to get an hour in. So a flat, no incline at 3.5 miles an hour. If that's too fast, 3 does it fine. 2.5, whatever works for you. Duration 60 minutes. That includes a warm-up time, so 4 or 5 minutes of just increasing the speed and intensity slowly, and then a cool down period of 4 minutes at the end where we're doing the opposite and just ramping down. You never want to stop. If your heart's pumping and you're doing something, you never want to just stop. I see people online, they do an intense workout and then they just collapse on the ground, or they immediately sit down when they're done and start huffing and puffing in a squatted position. Like, that's like the worst thing you can do. It's probably better to get on the treadmill after you're done a workout for 10-15 minutes, help the metabolites flush out, and then slowly ramp down your heart, your temperature, everything, right? Instead of just bam, just cold stop. And then just hourly breaks. My Fitbit, once an hour during active time between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. will tell me, hey, you need to move. If I haven't taken 250 steps in an hour, I'll get a notification, a buzz on my wrist that says, hey, dude, move. And I have to scramble because it'll usually give me the notification during the last 10 minutes of that hour, so I have to immediately go and start walking up down the stairs, doing jumping jacks or something. Probably better to get on the front side of that and actually force yourself through a timer or whatever. You'll build the routine and the habit before long, but just get in the habit once an hour of just stepping away, fill up your water, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. Just that alone will net you 2,000 steps. And that's not counting your just regular baseline activity, which is for me around 1,500 steps in a day. These two things together, I started thinking about it. I'm like, hold on. If I do these two things consistently, which is very easy, I only have to be on the treadmill not for 90 minutes. I can get 3,000 to 4,000 steps in easily by just moving once an hour and regular everyday baseline activity. So that means I only need around 6,000 to 7,000 steps, which is about an hour on the treadmill. It just worked out perfectly. Look at that daily calorie burn from just walking. That is nothing else but just moving your body. Not even strenuously. 3.5 miles per hour is like a brisk walk. I've got a fairly long stride, so for me it's a good walk. If I went up to 4, I'd be almost having to jog slightly. But at 3.5, it's intense. It's a brisk walk, but it's doable, and I can still multitask. 3.2 is like my perfect Goldilocks zone because it's not too brisk, but not too slow that I'm not still breaking a sweat. Speaking of the calorie burns and breaking a sweat, that's one of the markers of activating my metabolism. One of the things I was exploring was if I want to get 6,500 steps in a day and walk for an hour, does it matter if I walk all at once? Would it be better to break it up into, like I was saying, 3 20-minute walks? Would it be better to have 2 30-minute walks? How long does it take the body to warm up? If I walk 3 times a day, that's 3 times I have to start cold and warm up. I'll barely be burning any fat at that point and have to do that 2 more times. It seems more daunting, and considering I'm trying to get my consistency and routine on point. 2, or even better yet, 1 time a day, just get it done. That's ideal for me because when you combine that with multitasking, it's very doable and it's actually fun. It's enjoyable. Vibe coding on the treadmill, one of my favorite things to do. It doesn't get much better than that. So here you see just the workout calorie burns in addition to the 500 or 600 you're getting from just walking every day. Here's another opportunity to burn, and this is actually a bit low, I find. I'm usually more at the 400 or 500 even for upper body workouts, but let's say 300 to 500 on the low end. We're at almost 1,000 calories a day from 2 simple exercises. And these workouts don't have to be long. This is like 45 minutes to an hour. So very doable. Anybody can do it. And you're not talking 6-7 times a week here, like 3-4 times a week. That's all you need. Active recovery. This could be just an extra walking session, maybe some yoga, stretching, mobility work, light swimming. I'd love to be able to do swimming. It's just not an option for me right now. Foam rolling, bike riding, rollerblading, whatever you do, it's a good day for that. A rest day doesn't necessarily mean that you do nothing. Other than Sundays, I think it's important to actually have 1 day a week where you completely do nothing and just veg. Active recovery days don't mean that you just sit around doing nothing. That's the whole point. It's an active recovery day. You're just not doing the same level of intensity of upper body and lower body workout days. I think it's good to even take a break from walking so that you don't burn out on it. It's easy to do, but first thing in the morning, especially at first, it's hard to motivate yourself to get on the treadmill for an hour when you want your coffee and want to eat. This is a fasted walk, and that's where some of the benefits are, especially in burning fat. It's often unmotivating, just the prospect of it, but once you get going, like anything else, over time, it becomes easier and you actually learn to look forward to it, right? Because it elevates your metabolism in such a way that provides clean energy for the rest of the day. That way you earn your coffee and breakfast after, and it tastes that much better. Here's more about complete daily calorie deficits and how that breaks down. Look at the numbers, right? These are approximate numbers. There's nothing 100% accurate about this, but let's say we add a 10 to 20% swing. Like, that's still pretty darn good. 2 things: walking and exercise, which walking is exercise. Add to that a caloric deficit, and now you're off at the races. Look at these metrics here. Weekly totals, 60,000. Look at how it adds up. 60,000 steps. That's 6 days of walking. That's going to burn you 3,300 on the treadmill. And workouts are going to get you another 2,000. Workouts are almost half of what you would burn just from walking. So there's the key to it right there. Active recovery, that's another 400. So we're at almost 6,000 calories. Total weekly deficit now, 7,000 calories, which translates to about 2 pounds a week. That fat loss is, first of all, optimistic. And secondly, it's on the high end where you're going to start to feel a little bit of discomfort. You might feel ravenous, like you just can't satiate your hunger. You might feel just hungry all the time. And yes, you can ignore that, and there's things you can do to suppress your appetite. But I found that if you aim for more like 1 to 1.5 pounds per week, that's much more manageable and reasonable. That way it's not such a drastic change to just cut out all these things that you enjoy because they're delicious and they give you some joy. Maybe you just need to eat fewer of them, or just pick your real favorite ones and stick to those and cut out all the rest. Snacking is one of those things that if you can stop yourself from doing, that's another one of these things that's like a game changer, as well as when you eat and how much you eat at once. Those are all things that really no one can tell you what to do. You have to dial that in for yourself by just experimentation and seeing how your body feels by trying different things. Everything's like that. Sleep, hydration, nutrition. Once you dial it in and you're like, oh, okay, when I do this, I feel normal. If I sleep too much, for me, if I sleep like 9-10 hours, I feel just terrible. If I sleep 4 or 5 hours, I don't feel too good either. If I sleep between 5 and 7 hours, I feel fantastic. And if I sleep 7 hours, as close to 7 hours as possible, I feel amazing. If I drink too much water, I'm peeing all the time and it just flushes out all my minerals, and then I have heart issues. If I don't drink enough, then it causes other problems. If I drink just enough, my workouts get better, my breathing is better, my metabolism's better, my appetite is better. So dialing in all those things, when they all start to get at the right levels, they start to synergize, and that's when you see the magic happen. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share. Just a couple of little pro tips here at the bottom that Claude helped me identify. Morning walk setup, and this is again how I really motivate myself to get on there. If it works for you, I mean, go for it. Get one of those walking treadmills that you can put right under your desk, even better. Then you can just break it out anytime you want and get on there. I think just with my phone, it's fine. There is the tendency to be looking down, so I'm always like holding it up high. So yeah, there could be an argument for some type of a mount or a desk. Queue up podcasts, audio, and yes, at some point curate those things, and I think that's a great idea. You could have a YouTube playlist that has all of your favorite shows and episodes that you haven't seen yet that are all queued up, and you can just start the playlist and go to town. Pick your favorite audiobooks and have those in your favorite section or in your queue on your favorite audiobook or podcast app. This is one I started doing over the last 2 or 3 months I started doing this. I have 2 extra sets of clothes hanging in my home gym so that after I'm done walking, I can just dry off, change my clothes, not have to shower 4 or 5 times a day. Just change your clothes so you're not walking around wet and stinky. But sometimes I prefer shorts or tank top. Other times it's cold, so I like to warm up with a hoodie. But yeah, having those nearby, as well as several towels. When one gets saturated, I sweat a lot. And if you're like me, you'll want to use multiple towels. And that also speaks to the point of if you're sweating that much, you definitely want to replenish those electrolytes. So make sure before, during, and after your exercise, including walking, because after 20 minutes, you will start to break a sweat. Replenish those ahead of time. Don't wait until you're dehydrated to start having to refuel your body with electrolytes. Concentrace is a great product that I like for that. Or if you don't have that available, just salt. Salt your water a little bit, just a pinch of salt. And at least that will keep your sodium levels adequate. Magnesium too is a big one. Potassium we can get enough, I think, through our diets, most of us, but magnesium is a big one that a lot of people are deficient in, so you could look into that, and that helps with muscle recovery and sleep and all kinds of things. Workout timing, upper body can do this after morning walk. I like to do it before a meal, an hour before a meal is typically when I work out, so that I can fuel my body with some protein as soon as I'm done. But again, that depends on you, what works best for you. Lower body, give 2 to 3 hours after walk. I actually disagree with that one, unless there's compelling evidence otherwise. An hour of medium intensity walking is not crazy. It's not going to deplete your legs of all glucose. For me, it warms up the legs nicely so I can do my workouts and get even better workouts in there. One thing I could do on lower body days is 30 minutes of walking or 20 minutes of walking initially before the workout to warm up the lower body. Then at the end, finish the steps and get the other 20 to 30 minutes in to help with the cool down phase and to flush out those metabolites and get things moving and healing, which helps. So yeah, that's just my suggestion for what works for me. I'm not a scientist, guys. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. This is just based on my own personal subjective experience. So take it all with a grain of salt. Do your own research, of course. Don't take my word for it. This is from years and years of just doing what works, what doesn't work for me. So if you get something out of it, you can glean some insights here, great. But of course, cross-reference this with studies, research, and other professionals out there. So recovery days, usually Wednesday, Saturday, walking as normal, as well as some lighter activity later. That could be yoga, qigong, physiotherapy, any number of things, whatever you do that's not workouts in addition to walking. Could be badminton, hiking, swimming. And then Sunday, very important again, I can't stress this enough, complete full rest day. Guilt-free, no walking, nothing. Just veg. Watch some TV, go on your computer, chew some gum, do what you gotta do, but don't do anything else. And then Sunday, meal prep, social time, complete relaxation. Spiritual work, I would say, is a good one there. Mental rest. But yeah, mental and physical rest, very important. They say 7 to 9 hours. Could be 10. Could be 6, right? It's crucial for rest and recovery. It's a very important part, especially with the deep sleep for the body and the REM sleep for the mind. Protein intake. Took me a long time to realize that I think for years I was protein deficient, not getting enough protein in my diet from fasting too much. And that made a big difference for all kinds of things. Protein sources, right? They're not all created equal. As well as collagen made a big difference for my joint healing and recovery. Those are all things you discover along the way. I recently shared a post where I shared 7 supplements that actually work, where there's research to back it up. It's more a matter of just sourcing a quality product. But there are things out there that work wonders, like creatine, right? Creatine is being shown not just to help with muscles and energy, but actually is a potent nootropic. So it helps with brain function and cognition. So amazing. Since I've read that study, I've doubled my creatine intake, and I find it's helping me to have a more sustained baseline for my cognitive abilities. It doesn't taper off as quickly as it did before. Like, usually my mental strength is like, it wanes in the afternoon. I think that's fairly normal. It goes up, and then around 10 or 11 o'clock, I'm at my mental peak, and by 2, 3, 4 p.m., it starts to ramp down. I find that by increasing my creatine, it stays at the peak for longer, where I don't feel the decline until later on, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. My body's adapting now, but I've had to go to bed later and later because I just don't feel tired. So that's almost asking for trouble in other areas. And then I wanted to, let me just move the camera here so that you can see it. And then just finish off these last 2 things. So hydration, especially important. As I said, add some trace minerals to that, or some salt at the very least, or both. Listen to your body. The body will send you and provide all the signals you need to let you know what's going on. I'm pretty bad for that too. I'll wonder and I'll question things, and the answer is sitting right in front of me. My body's telling me the answer. I'm just not listening. We need to get good at listening to the body. What is it saying? What is this shoulder pain? What is it trying to tell me? Maybe it means you need another day off this week. Maybe it means that your rigid schedule that you've been relentlessly adhering to is actually hurting you more than it's helping. Maybe Wednesday and Saturday need to be 2 more full rest days. Or maybe I'll focus on just walking that day and get my steps in and call it good. Doesn't need to be more than that. I have a tendency to lose patience with these things and to rush in and push past pain levels that are unhealthy. It's a process to learn not to do these things and to care for the body. It's our temple. It's all we have. We only get one. So if you fuck it up, that's it, right? I don't like to compare the human body to a machine, but there are some parallels. If you don't take care of your car, what happens? It breaks down. The human body is obviously not a machine. Some people say it's a biological machine. It's not. It's something much, much greater than that. And it's much more complex than that, especially when you add the brain to the equation. If I neglect my car, do I get mad at the car and blame the manufacturer because I was careless with my own property. It just doesn't make sense. The best thing you can do is preventative medicine, and that's through walking, moving the joints, things like yoga and qigong, getting our exercise in, and having the heart pump at a fairly elevated rate consistently. Not for long periods of time, but every once in a while, sprint, run. It's incredible to me how many people don't do this. And yeah, at my age too, like I'm in my mid 40s, and you wouldn't believe the number of people that I talk to around my age, and some much younger, that just don't run. They don't jog. They don't even walk fast. Thank goodness there's no predators, not the level of what we had before. But I always think, what would you do if a tiger was chasing you? Probably the tiger's going to outrun you anyway. But what if there was a situation where you needed to run for a long distance? Most people probably couldn't do it. Some folks that I know smoke a pack a day, 2 packs a day of cigarettes, and they drink and eat junk food all the time. Like, you're tiger food. That just bothers me. I don't like having that limitation. I like to know that as I'm getting older, I'm getting healthier, I'm getting stronger. There's no reason to think, oh, I'm not in my 20s anymore, like I'm past my prime and that's it, I'm just going to be a decline from here. No, I refuse to believe that. In fact, I would say that I have the certainty that when I'm 50 years old, I'll be in the prime of my physical life. I'll be tuned in like never before, because it's a path of progression. I always try to strive for better in my life. Better job, better situation, better house, better car. While these things are material possessions, it's always setting the bar for higher achievements. That doesn't have to be something physical. It could be a goal I set for myself and something I want to address at the personal development level. If you're not setting goals and pushing beyond your boundaries, I don't see that as a worthy use of my life. The gift of life needs to be said thank you to by living that respectful life with honor to the sanctity of life. I think that's so important. And that speaks to why I do some of these things. A lot of people I talk to, I don't think they understand why I'm doing these things. It's not like I work out to look real good in the mirror. And don't get me wrong, posing in the mirror is actually important because you get to see the results of what you're doing. But I'm not doing it for the aesthetics. I'm not doing it for how good I look in a bathing suit. If that's your reason for trying to get healthier and stronger and fitter, you're already off on the wrong foot. It's more of a feeling than anything. When you get yourself back into a reasonably fit and healthy state, that feeling alone and the optimal functionality of your body and your brain, that alone is the motivator to keep going. Because when you stop doing that, you feel like crap and you're like, wow, okay, now I understand the difference between being a healthy me and being the piece of crap me that doesn't get off the couch for 5 days. It's like night and day. I really hope that this video was helpful for you. Let me know where you're at in your own journey. How much are you walking every day, and how long have you been walking for? Have you found ways of breaking it up? Do you do it all at once? I'd love to see what other people are doing. It'd be really interesting to see the different techniques that people use, where they're at, and what works for them and what doesn't work, and what they've had to filter through to get to the other side of that. Again, appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for your viewership. Be well, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.